Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to Interactive Sukhmani Sahib Ji session. We have completed, we are on 16th Ashpadi, last padas. Completed 15 padas, 15 Ashpadis so far. We'll continue discussion on, hopefully on our 17th Ashpadi today. So before we start, I will recite sloks from the previous Ashpadis. I'll just recite, you can see I'm sharing all the sloks from the previous Ashpadis which we've completed. Doing vichar. So I'm going to recite a few shloks from all of this set of 15, and then we'll continue with our vichar on 16 Ashpadi last pada. Satnam Shri Vahe Guru Sahib Ji Adi Gure Namahe Chugad Gure Namahe Sat Gure Namahe Shri Guru Deve Namahe Deen Dard Dukh Panjana Kat Kat Nath Nath Saran Tumhari Ayo Nanak Ke Prabh Saath देनहार प्रभ छोड़ के लागे आन सुआए नानक कहूँ न सीजई बिन नावे पत जाए करण कारण प्रभ एक है दूसरे नाही कोय नानक तिस बलिहारण जल थल महियल सोए तजो स्यानप सुरजन हो सिमरो हर हर राय एक आस हर मन रखो नानक दुख परम पाओ जाए सर्ब कला भरपूर प्रभ बिरथा जानन हार जाके सिमरन उधरिय नानक तिस बलिहार So 16 Ashpadi is what we are contemplating on right now in this discussion. This is the shlok for the 16 Ashpadi. It says, Roop na rekh na rang kich, treh gun te prabpin. Jise bujhaye nanaka, jis huve suprasan. So what we were talking last time is that the main message there is just to tell the qualities of that one and only divine existence, whom we call Vaheguru, Paramatma, Prabhu, right? It's trying to tell us Trehe Gunate Prabhupin. And then the whole padas we were looking at so far talks about that such, that such which exists and how to connect to that such. And then it's very clearly trying to distinguish for us that Prabhu, Paramatma is different than that Trahegun, which is also there. So it's also kind of telling us that also exists, right? But Vaheguru is pinned from that. It's different from that. And we then in the whole Pada, Sadhguru is trying to enlighten us, trying to tell us what is that Vaheguru, right, throughout. So that understanding kind gets to our inner surt, chhu jaye, pata lag jaye, we can understand a little bit of that, right? So if we go the previous padas we were talking about, I think we talked a lot about the Naam, what is Naam, right? And because in this Rashtrapati, he talks about Sach, what is Sach? And then Sadhguruji is telling us about through Naam connect to that Sach, right? There was some very, very important, I will just say, he says, Naam japat taki gat hoye, right? Sat nirat bujhay je koi, right? That whole shlok is about tre gun te prapin. Now it says Sat or Asat, jada mithya or Sat, bujhay je koi, somebody who is able to understand, bujh landa, naam japat taki gat hoye. Then he clearly tells, then what happens? Bujh vi le hai, par gat kive honi hai? Oh, naam na judan nal. And what is that naam? Naam is that medium to for jurna to Vaheguru, right? To connect to the source, right? That's what. So we'll continue with the 8th pada. I'll recite that and we'll continue to discuss this further. Bisman bisam bhai bismad jin bhujya tis aya swad prab kai rang rach jan rahe gur kai bachan पदार्थ लहे उदाते दुख काटन हार जाके संग तरह संसार जन का सेवक सो वड पागी जन के संग एक लिव लागी गुण गोबिंद कीर्तन जन गावे गुर प्रसाद नानक फल पावे. So he's telling us about the state of such beings who have realized, who live their life in connection with Vaheguru. This is Bisman Bisam Bhai Bismad. It's in bliss. Bismad is that state of that bliss. It says Oda Jera, all what he's doing, right? That wondrous wonder is what they are describing. It's wonderstruck by gazing upon his wondrous wonders, right? So it's just trying to tell us that it's a state of bliss when you understand and you recognize how wonderful is his Sat world, right? In the previous part, I was talking about the Vaheguru's world, which is Sat, which is different from Trigun. And he says, those who get to connect to them, they are in that state of bliss by understanding what it is. Bisman Bisam Bhai Mismad, they remain in that state of bliss. And that's a great mantra, right? It's like also you keep telling your mind that Vaheguru, what does Vaheguru mean? Right, to saying that that in that awe for thanking that Vaheguru, knowing that Vaheguru, right? So that's why that is called the Vaheguru mantra also, right? And that's what it's like. It's trying the state of those beings who have reached there. They are always in that state of Vaheguru, right? They're amazed. They're wonderstruck by that. Jin bhujya tis aya swad, and what happens? They have bhujya, bhujliya. They have realized it, or they've understood it, this aya swad, and then they know what is the taste of it also. They come to know the taste of the state of joy and bliss too, because they're connected to that Sat which is being described, which is different from the Trigun Maya. Prab ke rang rach jan rahe, gur ke bachan padarat lahe. His humble servants Jan, Prabde Jan, Ode Rang, which keeps telling, right? Prabde Rang which rate. Rang is a color, but it's also Rang which ratna, like you are imbued with his love, it shows, absorbed in his love. Right. Here it's more of a Rang, is that vibes and the waves where you get absorbed in that love. Right. I kind of try to translate it as a Rang is that that vibes of love, that waves of love where you get absorbed with. Prab ke rang rach jan rahe. Says they always remain absorbed in his love. Gur ke bachan padarat lahe. And every time that becomes very important. Gur ke bachan, Guru's teachings, by Guru's knowledge, padarat lahe. They receive all what God is giving. Actually, this is not right. They're not talking about char padarat, four cardinal. Theek nahi hai. It's just saying in general, whatever that Vaheguru is giving, they receive. Gur ke bachan, by understanding. And how they do understanding? By Guru's teachings, following Guru's teachings. And those are all the teachings which our Satgurus have written for us. Oe date dukh katen har. He's further describing the state of such beings. He says they themselves become the givers and dispellers of pain. They have so much of abundance of that through them, flowing through them, that they themselves become the givers of it. Oe date, they become the givers. Dukh katen har, they also become dispellers of pain. How? Because through them is how you learn to connect to what you should be connected to, right? That one source. It's they are the ones who take you to that path of liberation, of pain from Maya, right? Jaake sang, pain from Tragun, right? Jaake sang tare sansar. Oe date dukh katen har. Jaake sang, in their company, tare sansar, this world is also able to swim across this worldly ocean. Tara tarna ho janda hai. Tarna is also related to tara sansar is also related to they get liberated. Chut gaye. Kyun chut gaye? Because those beings are also in this world with you. You have an example, you can follow them, right? वो बार बार कहते हैं ना company चाहिए, right? You get their company and you know how to and छूटना किਵੇਂ है, right? जन का सेवक सो वड पागी, जन के संग एक लिव लागी. Now he's giving more importance of that disciples of those are who are in service. He says even when you are in service of those who have realized him, even then you are very blessed. He says you are very blessed because what else in this world, right? He says if you cut in company of those who are already emancipated, that means your path is clear too now, right? Jan ke sang ek liv lagi. How? Because through their sang, through their company, ek liv lagi. You become attached to that one, that ik nal live lag jandi hai, right? You are forever attuned to that oneness. That inner love which is there in you is for that you start to understand him, right? That your inner love which is there, it is totally attuned to that one being who is there, right? So, ek liv lagi, gun gobind kirtan jan gaave. This has come many times, right? Jan. So now such humble beings of Vaheguru, it always tells us, right? There is what do they know is worth doing? You are in this world of doing, you are living this life. What do they think is worth doing? What do they enjoy doing? It always tells about Kirtan, right? That's the whole Gurbani's and Guru's message. Gun Gobind Kirtan Jangave. For them, that's the most, the literal translation is they do the singing of the Kirtan. But that's what they think is the most supreme thing to do. Gur Prasad Nanak Fal Pave. Gur Prasad is very important. By Guru's grace, because of Guru's grace, O Nanak, then they receive the fruits of their life, why they are, that Satgurus, recently I came across this, right, who have, जिन्होंने वो बीजा है रुख, गुरमत दा रुख, right, that Guru's wisdom, Guru's knowledge, और जो फल आ रहे हैं, right, they receive all of those because they know that knowledge by Guru's grace. Right? So that completes the 16th Ashpadi. I think the main message it starts with is describing, and it goes more and more into the similar, describing more deeper state of the beings who are connected. I think in the next Ashpadi we'll also see that. So yeah, so that's how in the sixth starts with describing that there's no roop, no rang, there's no form of that Vaheguru, but then it describes that it is different, it's pinned from Trigun, and then it describes it is Sat. And then in the end, and always there's always a similar message, is connect to that oneness, understand that that's a Sat, that's what we call about as Sat, that Vaheguru. Connect to that through Nam, which is your medium. And how do you know Nam? You know Nam from those who already know. You come in connection with them, right?
Leena ji?
Hanji.
Avtar Singh here. एक ट्रांसलेशन क्वेश्चन है ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਕੇ ਬਚਨ ਪਦਾਰਥ ਲਹੇ
Hanji.
Isn't it padarat lahe means renunciate the padarat or get rid of the attachment to padarat? Lahe means le jana. Padarat, there's no more attraction to padarat.
No, it's not. It's not.
It's not that?
It's not that lahe. That lahe is not used like that. It's about receiving what that Vaheguru is giving you. It's not talking about anything like that, that Padarat.
Sure. Because Padarat is material things.
No, it is Gurkya, that Vaheguru's Padarat. It's a Nam Padarat. I mean, the right translation of it is, it's all talking about that Nam Padarat. I mean, mostly this translation by Sant Singh Khalsa, he did 4 cardinal blessings. Freed code translation and other translations, they call it Nam Padarat Litta. That's how they.
Sure. So Padarat is actually non-material here.
They have translated as Nam Padarat. Here you can clearly say Sant Singh Khalsa ji has, again, Lahe is receiving, but he has called Padarat as 4 cardinal blessings, which is nobody else has done it, so it's not right. The 4 Padarat hunde na, Kaam, Krodh, Lobh jada hunda. No, sorry, jade 4 Padarat jade hunde na, Mukat and these ones, right? Dharam, Arth, Kaam, Mokh. Ye o nahi hai that. It's not that, but only in this translation but that lahe is, according to this grammar, lahe is here is to receive, but what is received is translated either as Nam Padarat or is it translated as whatever gifts that he is giving, because you will see in the rest of the padas it's related like that.
Yeah, I thought the more appropriate and Gurbani's message could be or should be that Guru ke bachan naal, the attraction to material things goes away.
Yeah, they never used in the whole Guru Granth Sahib Ji, they haven't used Padarat for that kind of description of the thing.
I see.
That's why that's how, I mean, I know in our normal language, but they have always used, for that they have used other words, right? The one which you have to which has to be removed or given away, right? They don't use Padarat.
So what's the word in Bani for material things?
There are many different kind of words which come and mostly related to the Maya things, right? Bhikhya and I mean, it's all Maya is always, Maya comes a lot of time, right? And Bhikhya comes.
Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, so we'll move on. I think with the next 17th Ashpadi. श्लोक आद सच जुगाद सच है भी सच नानक होसी भी सच. So this is where that, in Japji Sahib, Aas Sach, Jugaad Sach, Hai Bhi Sach, Nanak Hosi Bhi Sach comes again, but there's a difference in the bhe. There's a bhi there and bhe there, and that's just how most of the research of Gurbani says that's just a difference of how it is listed. Like the same kind, Sodar has differences in what matras are used for different words, but it's the same Bani. But the meaning is the same. As such, Jugaad such. His Ad, from the beginning, wherever was that beginning, it's again talking about such. He is true. True in the beginning, true throughout the ages, Jugad, from Juga Jugato. He is true throughout all the ages. Hai bhi such. He's true here and now. Hai bhi such. Nanak hosi bhi such. O Nanak, he shall be true forever. So in a way, it's just going beyond, in a way, it's trying to describe it's beyond time, space, anything. It's there forever, true. Right? And if you put that in words, that's what it is. As such, Juga such, Hai bhi such, Nanak hosi bhi such. And the beauty of it is to realize that it's present. It's that thing which is present now, that same thing which is present now. If you go to a vertical dimension of try to feel that it's present through all, everywhere, all and everywhere, right? Says Ashtpadi Charan Sat Sat Parsan Har Puja Sat Sat Sevdar Darshan Sat Sat Pekhan Har Naam Sat Sat Tyavan Har Aap Sat Sat Sab Tari Ape Gunakari Shabad Sat Sat Prabh Bhakta Surt Sat Sat Jas Sunta Bujan Har Ko Sat Sab Hoye Nanak Sat Sat Prabh Soye. So he's emphasizing on the Sat now, right? I mean, in the previous Ashpadi, it's just described to us that Vaheguru is in the form of that Sat. It says, Charan Sat, Sat person har. So how we try to do, right? It's saying that his lotus feet, his now represents that Prabhu, Paramatma. Paramatma de Charan, they are Sat, and Jede Onanu Chunda hai, he also becomes Sat. So more important in this line is that those who are able to touch those Charan of Paramatma, they are Sat, right? He's already described, Satguru has already described that he is Sat, we know, right? So now how do you describe that Charan Sat? Right? So Charan Sat, his Charan is Sat, his existence, right? His Naam, right? What is Paramatma's, Prabhu's Charan to us is that medium, is that Naam, right? What else, right? His Charan is Sat, and those who can touch them become Sat. They are also true. Puja Sat, Sat Sevdar. That worship, the devotional worship of that Prabhu, that Paramatma is true. And what happens? Because of doing that, that person, those who worship him, they also become true. So I mean, he keeps describing about the state of those who are in connection with them, and then they persuade us that we should be in that sangat of such beings, right? And now he's even clarifying further that they become that sat, right? Darsan sat, sat pekanhar. This is that glimpse, the vision of that Vahiguru is true, is sat, and those who are able to have a glimpse, pekanhar, dekhan wala jada hai, those who behold it, they are also true. Naam sat, sat tyavanhar. His name is true. Those who meditate on that name, they become true. These are very important, because otherwise we cannot find the distinguish between ki kya ki rahe hain sanu, you know, what do we meditate on, what is naam, what, right. So try to think more about it. Just clarifies that he's saying that that thing which is there, which is naam, that is true. And now if we meditate on that naam, we become true too. We connect to that sat. Last time I think there was a question of, is a naam Vahiguru? And I was saying that no, they use sat for Vahiguru, but they don't use naam for Paramatma Prabhu. Naam is a medium, is a source to connect to Paramatma Prabhu, but they use sat for him. Sat da naam, right? They use sat for him. Aap sat, sab sat, sab tari. He says that Vahiguru himself is true. And whenever he's trying to say true, he's just trying to re-emphasize on it's different from that Tragun, from that Maya. That's all, right? It says, Aap Sat, he himself is, and then he also keeps saying that that bliss is in that Sat. Right? Aap Sat, Sat Sab Tari. He says he himself is true, and all what he supports and sustains is true. Ape gun, ape gunakari. Now he's saying that, you know, he himself is a virtue. He himself is that goodness, and he himself is the giver of that goodness, bestower of that virtues. So it goes beyond grammar, right? I mean, but it's so easy to understand the message through these words, that he himself is that virtue, and he is the one who is giving that virtue to you. Shabad Sat, Sat Prabh Bhakta. His word is true. And those who speak of that word, they also become true. Surt Sat, Sat Jas Sunta. That surti, that intellect which is listening to that Sat, that is Sat. Sat Jas Sunta. Those who listen to that praises, they are true are those who listen to his praises. His ears are true. Surt is more surt, right? Your intellect, your awareness. Bujhan har ko sat sab hoye, Nanak sat sat prabh soye.
There's a question.
Hanji.
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਤ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੋ, what does it really mean when you say ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਤ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੋ? What does it mean really? ਸਤ ਬਣਨਾ ਕੀ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੋਇਆ?
So I think the best way to describe it is in all the padas, ashpadis we saw, right? They also, Sadhguruji saying, in the company of the holy saints, those who have already achieved Sadh, Sant, Sadhguru, right? Whatever is a Brahmgyani, he says they, at that level of spirituality, they represent that Sat. Oh, ban gaye hain aur Sat. That's what it means. Oh wala Sat ban jante ho. In that connection, that medium, they have already become a medium to that Sat. That Sat, your vibes inside your existence, what forms your existence. If you think of in words, if you think of a frequency that exists for Sat, they become that Sat. Basically, he's trying to tell you, through that Naam, which has that core of Sat in it, you touch it and you become that.
सत बनना मतलब क्या है? सत सत मैं सत बन गए नहीं. What does it really mean? I'm trying to understand. कि
Okay.
सत बनना, but how does it mean? What does it mean?
Sat banda matlab hai ki now, see, in the previous Ashpadi, there is this Trehagun, and there is living this life by doing in as that Trehagun, as that Maya, as that worldly falsehood, living this life as being a being of that one prime soul. Those two different. So see, O Wala Banjandeo, which is in connection to that truth which exists, you are not the one which is in connection to that Maya which is there. That's what it is. O Wala Sat Banjandeo, now you are living that life of Hukam, right? And it becomes more clear as you go to the more Ashpadis, but that's what it is, right? If I'm able to describe it.
Yeah, one way to understand it's Banjana is something looks like physically you become something. It's not that. It's like achieving that state of oneness. Instead of Banjana means, instead of Kana Banjana, they achieve that state of truth of oneness of beyond space-time. So that's different from something becoming or physically changing the looks and feels. It's more of a achieving that state.
It's beyond that. Your inner state of existence is with that one divine existence. You merge with it, and what merges in you with it is that state, right? And eventually, see, okay, that's very good clue, Tarji. So see, there's a state of your spiritual being and there's a state of your bodily being. Your body emerges from the earth. It gets finally merges into the earth as whatever, as water, as dust, right? That's where your body goes. Your spirit, your soul inside, it exists in a certain state. It goes to that state where it merges with that one consciousness, that one divine.
Right.
Right? O wala banna hunda hai. So bujan har ko sat sab soe hoy. Now I think your answer is there also, right? Bujan har ko sat sab hoy. It says the one who is able to bujlandana, who understands. And what is that understanding? It's understanding is all Guru's words, right? Ki onane knowledge diti hai. Bujan har ko sat sab hoy. Then he understands that true. It's all that which is true, that bujan har, all is true to the one who understands. Because he becomes that, he is always in alignment with that true. Nanak sat sat prab soe. And then he's just describing that, oh Nanak, that Vaheguru, that he is true. Just re-emphasizing that, right? So because we get, remember, there's always this question about why they keep saying sukh hai hamesha, bliss hai, but that's not our normal life is, right? And what is that? So it's trying to tell that the Paramatma de kar, which is that bliss, that sat, that sukh which is there, right? And everything else it is a drama. You live that drama too. That's what Gurbani tells us, right? So we'll keep moving on. Hanji, anything else, Tarji, on or anybody else wants to add?
And I think the beginning you said that Vaheguru is Bhinne. You know, that got my attention. But the concept in Gurbani is oneness. There's no different. That one actually appears in many forms. It's the same one that appears in many forms. And that one is not different from the many.
No, I mean, I think that's the nowhere in Gurbani it always says that Maya is separate. Within his creation, it says Sat nal judo and Asat. That Asat is what it calls Mithya, Maya. It says Roop na Rekh na Rang Kich. Very clearly after it says Tre Gun Te Prabh Pin. And everywhere that's what Gurbani is saying. Oh, if a problem ho jandi na, everybody just thinks that then you don't realize that straight what is being talked about, right? That is why it's सत तो वही होया ना जो वाहिगुरु है, सत तो वो नहीं होया ना जिहड़ी माया है, पर ये समझना कि वो माया डिफरेंट है वाहिगुरु तो here, right, it's श्लोक लिखे है ना इथे रूप ना रंग ना रेख ना रंग किच त्रह गुण ते प्रभ पिन. This is different. एंड फिर सारे वो यही क्लैरिफाई करते हैं सारे पदे विच कि ਉਹ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਮਾਇਆ ਕੀ ਹੈ, ਰਾਈਟ? ਉਹ ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਵੱਲ ਜੁੜੋ, ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਫ੍ਰੀ ਵਿਲ ਹੈ, recognize it, ਬੁੱਝੋ, right? So that's the meaning over there.
ਇਹਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਫਿਰ though there are two different realities, one is
that's not the it's not a reality. He's saying there is only one reality, but there's other is mithya, and that is tragun, which that mithya, right? It's a words playing, but you know, but it does stamp on it. It does say that also exists, right? If that's what you're trying to say, ki oh bhi hega hai. It's saying that also exists. It's not saying ki ota hai, the Maya is not existing. The Gurbani says it's there. And it says Maya hai jehdi santa to ta dur hi rendi hai, right? Santa sari duniya de piche lagi rendi hai te oh sant de ke bhaj jandi hai, right? It very clear ji bhagtan di bani ch bada likha hunda hai, right?
ek oda, I mean, it could be interpreted ki homme jehdi hai, when that looks at the one, it looks at many Maya. Homme sees the same one in a deformed roop of Maya.
Very nicely put. Hanji.
So but the reality underneath is Ek Onkar.
Hanji.
But the same Ek Onkar, when it's visualized or experienced or felt through Homme, it seems as many and Maya.
Very nicely put. And because Home sees that, that's why that is there. Okay.
Yeah.
So that because the Home sees that mithya, and oh sabe, that's what that they call liberation, right? To apne andro hi oh root hi kadti, you know, which ko recognition hi nahi rahi odi mithya di, right? That's what it says. They become sat.
Yeah. So underneath it's all one.
Right.
But Homme kind of plucks that reality into many and sees as many. And then when Homme dissolves, it dissolves back into oneness.
That other thing exists because Homme is acknowledging its existence. Hai na?
So it's a param hai.
परम, वो कहते परम जो कहते ना परम खत्म हो गए, वो चीज खत्म होगी ना, अंदरों ही निकल ही गई वो रूट, देन मिथ्या ही लगदी है फिर.
करेक्ट. वो जेडी एक चीज है ओ दियां 10 दिसदियां होमे नु,
राइट?
but it's same one thing underneath has reality. Ek Onkar, that's the meaning. But Homme creates this multiplicity of param. And when Homme dissolves, it goes back to the same one reality, Ek Onkar Vaheguru. Instead of saying there are two different realm of Maya and Rab, it is the same realm, but perceived by Homme to be two realms, Maya and Rab.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, there are many realms, but it's trying to direct you to that such Khandwala realm, right? Everything, it's not denying existence of anything else. And different enlightened beings try to direct that human to different kind of enlightened wherever it is too, right? So that if you talk about that realms, but yes, finally there's a one path where you reach, but all of them also tell you that, and all of them acknowledge in different words that there's this other thing, which is the Maya, which, like you're describing, which Home always sees, right? Thank you.
And you just say these are states of awareness. Home state of awareness sees many. The same one is seen as many with a Home state of awareness, and the same seen as one with the awakened or enlightened state of awareness. But they are not two different, separated with different boundary realms. It's a same thing being, it's observer, a drishti shrishti, So the drishti is, Home drishti they sees as many or Maya.
Mm-hmm.
And drishti is oneness. It sees only one. It never sees many. But it's same one thing underneath. That's the difference in, they're not two different realms. There's just different state of awareness of the realms.
Inner human, yeah. Inside us. Yeah.
Inside us, yes. So there's a subtle difference.
Hanji.
Very subtle, very subtle. One of our friends, she's been, of course, working on this part, the Home part also. She says, as I get closer to it, it becomes quite challenging, and it can be very fearful also. Because Home doesn't want to dissolve, it doesn't want to be let go of you to the other spectrum. So she said, I seem to come closer to the edge sometimes, but then it's kind of not very easy. I guess only with the Malik's Rahmat under the instruction of Guruji, maybe one can reach there, or this thing can dissolve. Because Tagada, Home badi takadi hai na, unne de jagad ke rakha sanu, jada to pad ke rakha, badi achhi tarah. So hopefully that with the company of the right people and Malik's Kirpa, one can reach there or get close to that word this way,
So
yeah.
The whole Gurbani, again and again, they say Kirtan, right? This is the best. Horvi Kitte, it's not in Gurbani, somewhere else also I read.
Mm-hmm.
That connecting, telling your Home through that frequencies of that singing and that Naam Kalo, Shabad Kalo is the best of that meditation, right? Meditation bhi wahi hundi hai na ki you get to the inner self, you connect to it. I mean, that's the one which is the best medicine for that Home thing. ਇੱਥੇ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਇਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਫਿਰ ਕੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, they just do the Vaheguru's praises, right? Kirtan karna is, and that gets connected a little bit of that music and all, right? And those has a great importance in Sikhi.
Leena ji, so the 17th party, was there any kind of statement or comment Guru Arjan Dev Ji when he visited Baba Shri Chand Ji? Was there some dialect that you may be aware of that you can share with all of us?
It is some places written, and some of them don't want to agree with it, that in those times, after 16th, all the 16 Ashpadis were done, Guru Arjan Dev Ji did go to Baba Sri Chand Ji and showed him the Vani, and he asked him, does he want to contribute to this? And then Baba Sri Chand Ji said that I don't have that capability, but if you want, I can just re-say what you have said in Gurbani, as such yuga, as such hai bhi such, nanak ko se bhi such. There's this thing is written, and then he said that you should he told Guru Arjan Dev Ji, you should complete this Sukhmani Sahib Ji for everyone. It's like that. So anybody who reads this Bani, like I think the main thing there was at those times, the yogis and all, even these days, right? It's like there was a lot of terminologies and all. Chavi kante de swas safle, they have a lot of practices and ways to do that. And six tell Satguruji is that how do we don't have time to do all of those, leave our homes and go to do this yoga and go to jungles. What is our way? And then it says, oh, this is the one. This whole Bani gives the same effect as the yogi gets from doing 24-hour of that Yog Dhyan, right? It gives you it takes you whatever time, but it gives you the phal. Tode 24 घंटे दे श्वास सफले हो जाते हैं. It has a blessings of Baba Sri Chanji is known for his all that. It has blessings from Satgurus and so there is that thing about it. But it is written somewhere, but not acknowledged fully in all writings. In some historical references, it's been written when they talk about how Sukhmani Sahib Ji was composed.
Thank you. Yeah, I think Baba Sri Chanji, I think, completely acknowledged Guru Nanak Dev Ji's teaching to be the ultimate true and in line with that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and there are a lot of other episodes connected to that incident. You can read upon those. Yeah. Sat Sarup Hriday Jin Manya Karan Karavan Tin Mool Pachanya Jaake Hriday Biswas Prabh Aaya Tat Gyan Tis Man Pragataya Paite Nirpal Hoye Basana Jiste Upjaya Tis Mahi Samana Bast Mahile Bast Gadhai Tako Pinna Kehna Jai Bujai Bhujan Har Vivek Narayan Mile Nanak Ek. So this more description of the state of such beings. Sat Sarup Hriday Jin Manya. That Sat Sarup, we who Rabbi hoga na, the Sarup embodiment of that Sat. जिसने उन्होंने मन विच जान लिया है, मन लिया है, मन विच मनना, believe कर लिया, faith कर लिया, one who believes in the embodiment of truth with all his heart. हृदय विच जिन्हें मान लिया है, Karan Kravan tin mool pachaniya. You know that Karan Kravan, that creator who does everything. He is able to pachana, recognize the mool essence of that. He recognized the essence of that creator, the root of all creation, the creator. Jaake Hriday Biswas Prabh Aaya, Tat Gyan Tis Man Pragataya. Jiste Hirday vich, in whose heart all faith, it's fully filled with the faith of that Vaheguru. Tat Gyan Tis Man Pragataya. Says then all the wisdom, the knowledge also comes, pragat ho janda hai, revealed to the man, to the mind. So Hriday and mind the connection ਦੱਸਿਆ ਹੈ ਨਾ. ਪਹਿਲੇ ਤਾਂ Hriday ਵਿੱਚ ਪਿਆਰ ਹੈ ਰੱਬ ਵਾਸਤੇ, right? Then you have Biswas in your heart, and that's janma janma di ਗੱਲ ਹੈ, because Biswas in the heart on Vaheguru comes. ਮਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੰਨਦਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੱਕ ਦੇਖਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ, experience ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦਾ. Maybe through others' experiences or our own experiences, ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹ root which he अंदर embed ਹੁੰਦਾ है ना, कि नहीं समझ आती. He says जिन्होंने पूरा ही समझ लिया ना, जाकर दास विश्वास प्रभाया, पूरी तरह fill है ना, that's a first state. Faith ਫਿਰ ਉਹ knowledge ਆਂਦੀ ਹੈ, that wisdom gets revealed. ਮਨ ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ? knowledge. heart ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ? ਰੱਬ. It is that wisdom and is revealed to that mind. Right? ਪੈ ਤੇ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ, right, that it just really flows with all the practices which are put. It is ਉਹ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਭਰਮ ਕੱਢ ਕੇ ਆਓ, right, have the faith in ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ. ਉਹ ਮੱਥਾ ਟੇਕਣਾ is a big thing. I mean, ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਹੋ ਕਿਤੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਮੱਥਾ ਟੇਕੇ, right, if you haven't, but so blessed we are, it's from our where we born and all, we do that. That itself brings so much faith inside, which is essential for that wisdom to be revealed to our mind. It is that ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਅਰਪਣ ਕਰਨਾ, that's to come to that sanctuary, ਮੰਨਣਾ is a big thing. ਪੈ ਤੇ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਹੋਏ ਬਸਾਨਾ, ਜਿਸ ਤੇ ਉਪਜਿਆ ਤਿਸ ਮਾਹੇ ਸਮਾਨਾ. Now what does that being does? He understands the root, the cause of causes. Then ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪੈ ਤੇ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ, ਜਿਹੜਾ fear ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਭਾਉ ਹੈ ਅੰਦਰ, ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ, ਉਹ ਕਰਕੇ ਵਸਦਾ ਹੈ. ਬਸਾਨਾ ਬਸਦਾ ਹੈ. He comes to live without fear. He comes out of fear. Good translation, right? ਪੈ ਤੇ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਹੋਏ ਬਸਾਨਾ, ਉਹ ਵਸਦਾ ਹੈ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਵਿੱਚ, ਉਸ ਪੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ, right? He becomes a ਨਿਰਭਉ of the ਪੈ. That Akal Purakh is a nirbhav, nirvair. Jiste upjya tis mahe samana. And then he gets to that, he's absorbed into jisto upjya hai, wherever he's come from, there originated from, that's where it merges, absorbs. Bast mahe le bast gadai, tako pinna kehna jai. He says then when you blend, a bast is anything, something, bastu. ਜੇ ਬਸਤੂ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਸਤੂ ਮਿਲਾ ਦਿੱਤੀ, ਗਡਾਈ, ਬਸਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਾਹੇ, ਗਡਾਈ ਬਲੈਂਡ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤੀ, ਮਰਜ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤੀ, ਫਿਰ ਕੀ ਸੈਪਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਰਹਿ ਗਈ? He's trying to tell us, right? Once that has happened, ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਾ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਸੱਤ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਲੇ ਜਾਂ ਦੇਖਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਸੱਤ ਹੋ ਗਏ? He's saying ਫਿਰ ਭਿੰਨਤਾ ਹੀ ਕੀ ਰਹਿ ਗਈ ਜਦੋਂ when they are all blended, there's no separation left. ਬੁਝੇ ਬੁਝਨਾਰ ਵਿਵੇਕ. Now is telling that ਉਹਨੂੰ ਬੁੱਝਣਹਾਰ ਵਾਲਾ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ? The one who is able to ਬੁੱਝ ਲੈਣਾ, understand it, with somebody who has a very high intellect, ਵਿਵੇਕ ਬੁੱਧੀ ਵਾਲਾ. What happens then? ਬੁੱਧੀ ਵੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਇੱਥੇ, intellect, ਬੁੱਧੀ, because mind needs all of that. You are in this world existence through your mind, through others' mind. So ਬੁੱਧੀ ਵੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ. ਨਾਰਾਇਣ ਮਿਲੇ ਨਾਨਕ ਏਕ. He says then, to that person, he ਉਹਨੂੰ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ, they attain that Narayan, that one God, Nanak ek, and he becomes one with it. He attains that Vaheguru, ਮਿਲ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ, and he becomes one with that one.
Just sharing some thought on this. See, we always think of mind, which has everything, thinking, but when it comes to the heart, we know dil na pyar hoya, but heart doesn't have any thinking power. I don't know how heart comes in picture, though it comes in every aspect or discussion everywhere, that heart is filled with faith of God, but all the thinking is in the mind, not in the heart. Just curious to little understand this.
What I think heart is used, hriday, ki, it's telling you in a way your inner self, the body parts se samajhne lag jande hai na.
Yeah.
It's trying to distinguish between your thought process, thoughts which come in you, and your inner self. That's the distinction. That's your heart. Or it's trying to get you to that which understands the core, which is connected to the core. Or fir heart andar apna apa apna andar is what You can also call this heart, which is called, right? And
it
mind
is
is the pulls which is making you do things which are happening, which you do.
heart is not a physical heart. It is our inner thoughts, right?
It's how you use the word. It is your I mean, if I have to, agar main nu translate kara na, jaake hriday vishwas prab aaya, I will say within your inner core, inner self, jide andar vishwas aa gaya, nu andar ho gaya, jisde andar vishwas aa gaya. But it's very important too. Deh kodi chad har paya. This human body is very important. Every field of this human body has a different knowledge, so-called thing, right? I mean, if you look into Gurbani is all about Naam. Through Naam, every cell of your body becomes Naam. But there is different existence of different fields in different, right? And that's where it just comes Rida. When there's other kind of books on, it's not Gurbani, right? But Gurbani just use those terms. But when you go look into the old scriptures and all on, right, oh, this is the part where, and then they give it different names, that there are chakras or there are different places, right? That place where heart exists is the place which is called where, if you get the most peace, if you focus on that, right?
Yeah.
Kite hararat the energy level hai na, if you, and then it's given different names. Somebody calls it this chakra, and then that's where God exists, right? Right? So it's all those words and how you use that word, but basically it's telling you that there's a difference between your inner core, which knows everything, and your doings, which are influenced by all the pulls in your mind.
Yeah. Thank you, Lina.
Yeah, another way to understand is heart is emotions and mind is intellect.
Yeah.
Then it's
So,
other way.
yeah, so intellect is logic, but emotions is their thoughts, their feelings. So heart is used for emotions and feelings, and mind is used for intellect and logic.
Yeah.
So ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਭਗਤੀ or ਗਿਆਨ, ਭਗਤੀ which mostly it's heart.
Yeah.
The gyan is mostly intellectual pursuit, science, and in meditation they tell us that you have to transcend both.
Yeah.
In order to reach the enlightened state, both emotions and thoughts and intellect, the mind, have to be transcended into oneness.
Yeah.
Because they all separate us into many. Our emotions also, heart also separates us into good emotions, bad emotions, hatred and love. So heart is also has double, it's duality. So in meditation, they tell us you have to transcend both heart and mind to get to the one state of oneness.
Yeah.
So the different ways, it's translations get us lost into the language gets us lost, but ultimately that ek onkar or sahaj avastha is both heart and mind have to be transcended into oneness.
That's true. Thank you, Avtar Singh.
Sabdaji, the transition to reach beyond mind and heart and body and this and that, how much is really in our hands, if anything? How can one really go beyond? Because these are all gatekeepers. They're all very strong in their own capacity and power to prevent us from going beyond them, right? Generally speaking. So I guess, Naam Jap Jap ke maybe Babaji's kripa and all, it might reach to the other state, the complete full awareness. But is there any other way to do it? Anji, sorry. Yeah. Go ahead, Anji.
What Gurbani says is all mind and heart is in your control. It's giving you a full control. It's not saying it's just saying That's what it keeps telling you, that go take care of that, take hold of it, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the way I understand it through is that it's actually undoing.
Okay.
It cannot be done. What is has to be done is undo what has been done to us by home. So
And how?
Sahaj Avastha is the complete state of not doing anything.
Hmm.
I have a question.
जी जी खोल लीजिए
Haji, question.
please.
Yeah, what is the difference between the concept of heart as a physical entity? What is the other definition of heart? What is it, a physical entity? What is it? What is heart?
no, heart, I think in general, forever it has been used in poetry everywhere, right? I mean, that's supposed to be a more sacred and pure place. That's when that is being used, right? That's a reference of it. And physically, whatever it is, right? That's, I don't know, Avtarji, you want to add something to it?
Heart is probably, I would like to say it's psyche. It's emotions, thoughts. I mean, thoughts are mind, emotions, feelings is heart.
Yeah, in Gurbani, Hriday, I don't know heart tak hai Gurbani kithe use hai. Hriday is more used for a more pure thing than emotion. It's jithe Rabb vaste hai na wo Hriday hai. But then of course, if we ask a question Hriday ki hai Gurbani which versus if we ask a question heart ki hai, then it becomes difficult, right? But yes, Hriday in Gurbani is a very pure thing where you, if you touch it, you know, if you chhu liya, samajh liya, then you are already connected to your inner self. Jitte kende Rabb vaste hai, wo Hriday hoya. Hriday emotion ਨਾਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਵਿੱਚ, ਪਰ ਹਾਂ heart
जाके हृदय विश्वास प्रभ आया तो हृदय is the place of the emotions emerge. But what does it mean really? I'm confused about the definition of heart.
No, I have to understand your question. जाके हृदय विश्वास प्रभ आया means okay ने मान लिया इन्हें ना मनने की गत कोई ना जाने. It just means कि मान लिया है, अपने अंदर तुसी मान लिया है. हृदय is again used for your inner core. तो कोई question नहीं रहा, right? विश्वास हैगा है, right? So how do you distinguish that from the other state? I think maybe that's the question. How do you distinguish that state ki ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹਿਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਮੰਨ ਲਿਆ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹਿਰਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਜਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹਿਰਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਇਆ? So it's very important to know a ਹਿਰਦਾ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ ਆ ਗਿਆ versus ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਇਆ. Means that it also signifies that that's the human who has realized it too, right? And hriday vich vishwas aana is also a gift. Hriday vich vishwas kive aanda hai from your day to day experience. If you see on anything, when the mind, it's connected to the mind na, ode through aana hai na, ਤੁਹਾਡੀਆਂ ਅੱਖਾਂ mind ਅੰਦਰ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਘਰ ਕਰੇਗਾ? How does it become solid faith for you? It is still through your senses and your mind and everything, and that's why all the Gurbani is for. But that's a state. Viswasana wali state is also a very high state, and for us I think it's a good clue. Je nahi aaya viswas, je question still we hage hain, means we need more of Sadhguru's wisdom, right?
Maybe this hriday is not a physical entity because there's no equivalent word in English, so it is translated as heart.
हृदय नहीं ठीक है, because see ਜਦੋਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਜਾਂ ਹਿੰਦੀ ਜਾਂ ਉਹ ਵਾਲੀ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਸੰਸਕ੍ਰਿਤ ਦਾ poets ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ poetry ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਦਿਲ ਹੀ use ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ ਨਾ, ਦਿਲ ਤੇ ਮਨ, ਉਹ ਦਿਲ ਉਸ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਹੀ ਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੁਝ ਪਿਓਰ ਅੱਛਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ use ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ, ਕਿ right?
Gurbani
Dil nu vi for that love ki ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਵਸ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਅੰਦਰ।
ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਚ ਤੇ ਦਿਲ ਯੂਜ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਇਆ ਨਾ ਕਿਤੇ।
ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿਲ ਵੀ ਆਂਦਾ ਹੈ, ਨਹੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ
ਅੱਛਾ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਪਤਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਾਣੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਹਾਂਜੀ। ਬਟ yeah, oh translation which ho janda I think heart, the way the heart is used in English and the way the dil and the rida used in Gurbani, that's a little different. Hanji,
no, Lina, is the word hirde ya hriday?
they are both the same. They're both
the same. Achha, okay.
Hirda and rida is the same. But oh emphasis ahi hunda ki hirde vich vas jaye, oh nahi kende brain vich ya mind which it says. I think it's to give us a clue, right? When we get those kind of glimpses jithe tonu lagda hai sanu intuition ho gayi ya oh dil vich hi hunda hai na, sanu lagda hai andron aayi hai, it's trying to touch, have you a feel for that what exists inside you, right? I mean that's the only thing we can understand. I think it's the way. How else can Satgurus tell us? They can tell us through the things we can understand, and we understand that love through our heart, through our dil ya hriday. So that's why he's trying to tell us using that, right? Yeah. But that's more connected to that unknown thing. Jiri andar hi ਤੁਹਾਡੇ pain feel ਹੋਈ ਹੈ, describe ਤਾਂ ਨਾ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ, ਜਾਂ ਅੰਦਰ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ love feel ਹੋਇਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ describe ਤਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਨਾ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ, ਇਹੀ ਕਹੋਗੇ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ feel ਹੋਇਆ.
Maybe scientifically it may have something to do with left brain and right brain. Yet I think if we scientifically one part of brain is more creative, other part is more logical, maybe something like that.
Yeah, the emotions that we don't question, we don't logic, the love way, you don't logic, that becomes, it's separated to there.
Yeah.
And the emotions that we logic into mind.
So let me tell you, in spirituality, maybe this can help you get into science. Rida, and then also there is what comes through you, what flows through you, through your brain also, right? Rida is jithe jo whatever you have, right? The knowledge which is yours, which is your inner self. And then jithe Rabb vi vasta hai, and then it's used that dasam dwar and all, right? Jithe knowledge flow hundi hai, that is used from a different part of your body. That's always used through the head part of your knowledge. Hun jithon di flow karni hai, the different, that's a worldly knowledge or whatever knowledge exists, right? Throughout what is relevant, that flows through that, right? And that's different than the Rida, where something is already existing. So then Avtarji, we related to that, that means that is more like Rida is where that love is, that it says Rabb Vasta also, right? And then knowledge and everything is through that brain part which is there.
Yeah, the separation, I think Gurbani and also in all the scriptures, is what is unquestionable without logic is called Hirda, and when there is a logic is there, that's the mind. So now Hirde which jedi cheez aandi hai, you don't question, that's it's a blind belief, is Hirda. And in mind always questions of anything, and man is mind.
Yeah, mind. I think mind is separate here from Hirda, and I don't know what's the right, that brain thing, right? The Hirda and the knowledge is separate, and of course knowledge is connected through mat, and that is connected through mind, but Rida is where it says, which is more, it's more connected, where that one exists, right? It's always there.
The awareness is where The question is, where is the awareness? It's in
Mat,
Hirda
mat is, it's Hirda and mat. It's not Hirda and mind, right? And that's the two things. I think.
but when the person becomes fully aware, now that has to be both heart and mind.
No. When person becomes fully aware, it is Hirda and knowledge is mat. It's not mind. Mananuni kitao. It is so. If meanings words which differences on there, but if we relate it to the words in Gurbani, and right, it is then it's when somebody has become aware, it is Hirda and mat. Mat flows, right? Sumat andiye, that knowledge flows. It's Hirda and knowledge. It's not Hirda and mind. Mind nita, everywhere it just says, right? You use the mind. That's also kind of a medium. Mind is the other medium, like Nam is, right? So that you use that mind, but these are the core things. It's either knowledge or it's either your inner core, right? Once you have touched that chittanu chule, when you have touched your inner core, knowledge becomes yours.
So it's like same thing, Apology. What would be when people talk about Mahatma Buddha getting enlightened, aware? So what really happened at the last second or minute? What was the transition? What did he lose and what did he gain? And what was the state? Where was he thinking? Where was he connecting? How was he connecting? Right? So those are things trying to understand or comprehend a little bit. Ki bhai, Malik, that is in one hand beyond us, but at the same time, just tu bakshish kar denga, usme mil jayega. We can only keep trying our very best because it's beyond our capacity at the same time. But if he wishes, then he can grant to whoever wish to give also, you know. So I asked my Buddhist friend, they said, "No, sorry, we don't know the answer because that's the truth. You know, we don't know." Same thing with any of our Gurujis when they sit and do meditation. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸੁਰਤੀ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਲੱਗੀ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ, ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਲਗਾਈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ, ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਧਿਆਨ ਲਗਾਇਆ, you know. Besides, one can say ਨਾਮ ਜਪਦੇ ਰਹੋ ਪਿਆਰ ਨਾਲ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹੋ. Maybe some point in time one would reach to that state, wherever that's supposed to be. I just don't know. Just anybody has any answer, please help us, you know.
So Paulji, I think we should just do this Padait as an answer to those, right? Jere, just you just said, who are there, and in a way, I think it everybody tells us we should do this too, because Gurbani also says that those who have reached there do it, and the more you imitate it, you become like that, you know, too, right? So that's your way, right? So let's cover this.
It's talking today, about. You want to do it next week?
We can cover it. Is it okay? We have 11:30.
We'll be hurrying it up then.
Yes.
Just want to make sure we can have
next week, let's cover it. So it's talk about Thakur ka Sevak. I think that's it's important. So let's look at it next week. It's already 11:13.
Ji.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.